Okay, let's go ahead and get started again. This has got to be shorter than the other one. But, and I'm going to have to check my phone from time to time because I am kind of expecting a phone call of sorts. Okay. Phone call of sorts from the car people. I don't know, maybe if I expect it, they won't call. All right. If you're here this morning, you know what we're working on. Fantastic stuff. And what did we decide he was going to be with one of these two guys? Probably this one, honestly. Okay. Got his bow case back here. All right. Let's do that in a kind of a leatherette color. That's a material, isn't it? Leatherette. Sounds like something you'd order at some cheap version. Synthetic leatherette. Oh, this is the brush we need to save for special circumstances. Let's not waste all its mana on regular things. So these guys are basically paint one guy, got another stand ready. Paint one guy, I have another stand ready because I've got 4 other ones that, three other ones that are ready to go. So just a matter of painting a partner for him, and he should be ready to go. And we're actually going to do something lazy. We're going to paint the scabbard for his sword in the same color, but we're going to deviate from that color. So we're going to start with the same color for both. But then the scabbard, for instance, all we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit more of this color. We're not going to get crazy with it. Add some white on it. And then for the actual bow case, we're going to take the same color we're working on before and add more core color and bring it up to more of a reddish type color. Unfortunately, I had a disconnect this morning, but we did have almost a 3.5 hour run. So, yeah, we'll see if we can get some folks back. Whatever we get done is a step in the right direction. a step towards finishing these guys and starting on the next army. It's always about what army's coming next. One viewer, welcome. Mr. Ben, welcome back. Welcome back. And if you're wondering why you haven't had to remind me about turning my thing on mirror image, it's standard for it not to be mirror imaged. That was just when I was using a different program, and for whatever reason it defaulted to always being a mirror image. You paused the last stream when I went out with the dog. Just finished it now. Saw you started this one. You know what that's called? Perfect timing. You must be living the right kind of life. You know, I'm not a dog person. Well, let me rephrase that. I never had any pets growing up. But as I've gotten older, I'm still never going to have any pets. I actually appreciate dogs because what I've realized is that when I was a kid, every person that had a dog basically did not train it at all. So I've actually come across several dogs that I actually like. Now, I don't really care for the fact that they have a dog smell, but that's just part of their, what do you call it? I mean, I guess people have a people smell, you know, especially if they're gamers. Oh, I left this thing open. This door open. But I've actually encountered several dogs recently. Actually, one person I used to game with, one of the main reasons I don't game with him anymore was because of his dog. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was a full-size poodle. And it was so freaking hyper when I got there. He'd like jump on you. And I'm fine with if you're trying to rough up the dog and he's getting all in your face and stuff. But when you ignore, when you're like, let me not wake it up, and it's just hyper all the time. So it'd take like 20 minutes for it to simmer down and be jumping on you and freaking scratching you with the nails and everything. And after it simmered down, if you ever had to go pee, it would get wound up again. I'm like, I just can't deal with this shit no more, you know? So I only had experiences with dogs that were negative, okay? And in the last, pretty much the interactions that I have with dogs now aren't negative, you know? So they're cool, you know, it's me if someone walks up to you and tells you your shirt's on backwards. Ah, yes. I actually went to go drop the car off, and the guy that was helping me, my wife goes up to him and says, you know, you have your shirt on backwards. True story. And he actually did. And he was kind of like, yeah, I know. I don't know. And I'm like, well, he doesn't want to turn it around because it says F the customer on the other side. You know, it was like a T-shirt that he had inside out. I don't know what. I don't know what the reason is behind it, but yeah. But anyways, I can appreciate dogs. I'm just not a pet person, you know. And I lived alone many years and never felt the need for a pet. But if you got a dog that's cool, you know, that's almost human in a way, I get it. Got to be a big dog though. Got to be a dog that's not like, you know,
I could kick your ass, man.
a dog with a Napoleon complex. Do short people have big dogs? I don't know. Marty! Running out to lunch with the wife and sit and chat, like the work you've been doing on those figures. Yeah. And they work great. They work great with they match up really well with these forged in battle. So half of the figures are going to be the gladiator figures, and half of them are going to be forged in battle. So they're going to look grand. They might fight like a bunch of sissies, but that's to be determined. To be determined. You're late for lunch, by the way. This is should already be eaten lunch, says the person who had a late breakfast. I'm used to eating at 5 a.m., 11, and then 5 again. Your dog's pretty good. He just hates the window cleaner. Yeah, he's probably a communist. So I'm with your dog, and likes to lick everything while walking. His new favorite was a dead bird. Another dog had peed. Oh. Oh. Yeah, and as a kid, there was dogs that would run around loose. Not a lot. And usually those aren't the problem. It's the ones that escape that are territorial. Yeah, I remember our neighbors had a freaking. When I was growing up, the badass dog was a Doberman. That was not none of this Rottweiler shit. It was a freaking Doberman. You want to scare somebody when you're a kid in the 70s, you have a Doberman and you name him Lucifer. But I don't need one for. I mean, I appreciate them. They're cool. As a matter of fact, when I have truck drivers that come over and they have a dog, I kind of make it a point to kind of interact with them. It's a nice distraction. They're usually cleaner than the truck driver. And I just didn't grow up with any. I just don't want them jumping up on me, That's the only thing. I don't mind petting them and stuff. I go in and wash my hands or whatever. No big deal. I just don't want them jumping on me. I've had bad experiences with that. And like I said, it's strange to have a creature that wants it's all hyper when you're trying to be calm around them. I get if you rile it up, it's your own damn fault, right? But I've never needed one for entertainment or protection. Best thing for protection is don't live somewhere dangerous. Make sure your neighbor is a bigger target than you are. A better target. We had one certified crazy person in our neighborhood, and that was a couple of years ago, and I think he just simmered down, but I just stopped walking over there. I'm like, I don't give a shit if I got a right to be over there. I'm like, I'm going to avoid a situation. Like, oh, you want to be crazy? You just stay right on over there. I don't need to confront them or anything. Luckily, I live far enough away from the house, but it's unusual to encounter something like that in a neighborhood. It's just. I'm surprised nobody's offed them yet. This is the South, so you misbehave and somebody might kill you. No, that's a crazy dude. I think he's simmered down, or I don't think he's moved away, but I hope he does. Mr. Rick, you look pretty cool, huh? Well, I got to paint a couple of them. They're very Games Workshop looking. But then somebody told me that the Cobblestone Man used to work for Games Workshop. So there you go. Ben, was it you that told me that that the guy that does these Forged in Battles is the same guy who did Old Glory? Or the other Old Glory guy? They definitely have two sculptors. Obviously, it's not, none of the ancients and medieval stuff was Alsa. Somebody else did them, and sometimes they have cheekbone issues. But even with that, I still like them. I still like them because their chainmail dry brushes really, really well. And one of the best things they did, I think, is they went down to the smaller packs. So now you don't have to order 50 figures of the same thing. It's a lot more reasonable to just get 25 or 24 of something instead of 50. Okay, we're going to use a really light color for the straps on the horse. I don't want a colorful color. I want a light color. So like this skeleton bone or something. That one's a little too close to his jacket that he has on. Rick, you've been posting a lot of games that you guys play at game night that are just, they're extremely pacifist type games. I mean, I'm a devout pacifist every day, so I want to, imprison people, rape and pillage, not necessarily in that order, commit war crimes, not, grow plants. There's several games that I think very highly of that are not combat games. Okay? And they're probably games you've heard of. And I'll mention a few of them if I can remember what they are. One of my favorite games is a game called Empire Builder. And it's a crayon train game. One of those that you get cards and they have products to bring from point A to point B, and you got to bring, pigs from, pigs to New York, and the pigs are like in the Arkansas region, so you got to go over there and get them there. Hopefully my Huns will fight as well as Mitch and my Numidians do. I don't know how your Numidians fight, but I know that Mitch has a deal with the devil. And Mitch now has his new freaking Chinese guys that, they've been close games. It's not like they've been stompings, but he just seems to be on the top end of it. But that's all right. Joke's on him. He wins one more game and we're tied. He wins two more and then he's ahead. And then he's got to wear shoes every time we're filming. Socks and shoes. Flip-flops don't count. Somebody suggested that's his punishment. And we'll have to, if he's being filmed, and he can not wear them, that's fine. But if we're filming, he's got to wear them or he's not going to be in the video. So. I guess he's going to have to buy some then. Change of heart. It's going to be too close to that. What if let's get some white and bring that up and see how close it is. I don't care how these guys do. I just want to be happy with how they look. That's really the important thing. Just like my Turks. My Turks suck. I love my Turks. I love how they look. That's what's important. That's what I can control. Let's see how light that is. Let's roll with it. I could paint my way out of anything I can get myself into. So somebody was asking and wondering when Don was going to post his game for Saturday morning. I don't know if he's turned it in or... I know when I sent my things in, it took them a long time to post them. A long time meaning like 3 days. That's unusual. In the past, that has not been. Now, somebody else is in charge of it. Maybe they're taking a little bit longer. Whatever. It's just, it was just kind of a new thing. So I was like not expecting that to happen. I will not be playing in Don's game on Saturday morning. I've got other plans. I'm going to do something not DBA related on Saturday morning. I'm already signed up for it. And I'm probably going to play in the 25 millimeter open Marty unless something else comes available. I'm trying to get some experience playing this. Actually, I never played it before. I've just watched all the videos are online. I'm going to try to play Edgar's New Rules. What the hell are they? Blood and Steel. You got to remember blood. Every one of their rules starts with blood. Blood and Steel. Victorian combat. So, if that looks fun, if it ends up being fun, I may do it in 15s. Just a way to paint other shit, and individual basing is a winner for me. Your sister just been joining us a lot lately, and she hasn't been too keen on the wargaming, unfortunately. Well, you could always get another sister. Maybe she's a serial killer in real life and feels like she needs to play pacifist games. I do. I love conflict games. It's like my version of horror movies. I don't want people to go to war and stuff like that, but it's like morbid curiosity. Like people already did it, so might as well learn from it. Oh, so talking about games that aren't violent that I like. Empire Builder is not a violent game. There's an old Avalon Hill. I think it was an old Avalon Hill when they got bought up by Hasbro. So what would that be? Early 2000s, late 90s, called I think it's called Vegas Showdown, where you basically bid. And I'm not a bidder fan, and I don't like bidding games because I don't think bidding games are very user friendly. Okay, because not only when you've never played a game before, it's kind of hard to get a grasp on how much you should spend on something at what point and what repercussions it has on when you can hold on to stuff. Now, if everybody learning to play the game is learning at the same time, it's not so bad. But invariably, you have somebody who's an experienced gamer, and they know exactly what to bid on and what not to, and when to do it and when not. When. How does that song go? When to hold them and when to fold them. So, great. Now I'm quoting music I don't even listen to. But it's true. They're not very. Yeah, Vegas Showdown is a fun game, and it actually looks pretty good too. And visuals are important. I don't mind board games as long as they look appealing. What other board games have I played that are not combat that are fun? That I enjoy, let's put it that way. Any game is fun where you don't care if you win. And I mean by the actions of what you do in each turn are entertaining. And getting what pieces and how you're going to put them for your casino is pretty cool. You know, and it's an easy game to pick up. I mean, like, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's not very abstract at all. God, there has to be more. Like the Star Trek game that Mitch likes so much. Now, I don't like Star Trek stuff at all. But I don't remember what the hell it's called. The one that was made by Gale Force 9 or Fantasy Flight or one of those two. One of those two. I get those two companies mixed up. That they don't make stuff for anymore. I've played it 6 times. I think it's a fun game whether or not you win or not. Now, you don't get, because of the exploratory thing, like, I wonder what's on this planet. And like, oh, you know, something like that. You know, just the whole actions of what you're doing are fun to do. And when you interact with somebody else, it just escalates to freaking Armageddon too fast. You don't get to enjoy the stuff that it ramps up too fast. But that's a fun game. But that's a combat game. But that's going to appeal to people that are, you know, Treksters, I guess. Trekkies. Treckelsteins. You damn Treckelstein. Yeah. Didn't grow up watching the show. There's no attachment there to me. So. God, there's got to be more. There's got to be other stuff out there that's not combat related that I enjoy, but I can't think of them right this second. That a game that I think is one of the freaking best games out there, but a lot of people never even heard of it. Is for the consoles, the Jackbox stuff that you can play with your phone. You know, those are, I guess, technically they're party games. Some of those are freaking awesome, especially if you get the right people. Unfortunately, there's lots of the wrong people playing. You know, so just think of you know, they're interactive and they help you think. I like games that involve thinking. You know, but it's obviously light thinking. You know, we have several of those for the. I guess there's a way to play them online with an audience, but I honestly haven't looked into it enough to do that. But those are a lot of fun, and those are obviously not combat at all. What's the one with the funny rules? Flux. Flux is a fun game, not a combat game. Flux is one of those games that I saw people playing on. Man, it must be really complicated. The rules change. It could change every single time somebody puts a card down, and not when you're playing it. It's not that complicated. Yeah, the whole point is you got to make this guy look drab. Okay, I don't want this guy being all like, you know, wearing the latest and the greatest in fashion, unless he ripped it off some dead body. That's how these guys rolled. They kept it real. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of bid games because they're not user friendly. You know, things need to be user friendly. If you want to get more people to play with you, you got to feel like they need to have a reasonable chance of winning, so that they feel like they don't need to win, but you need to feel like at least they had a chance, not like they're just there to be dead meat, just to be a meat sack, so to speak. All right, let's do some version of gray for this. So yeah, I'm not big on science fiction. I actually prefer fantasy to science fiction. Because fantasy, all you gotta say is, hey, keep the magic kind of light, and then I'm okay with it. Science fiction could have all kinds of problems. Science fiction can have all kinds of, realism issues where things have just gone too far, you know. And there's all kinds of different levels of science fiction where you have something that's science fiction light, like that program, what's it called? Black Mirror. Black Mirror is kind of science fiction light. It's not too far. Like it'll have like one or two technologies that are more advanced than what we have now, but everything else is pretty much in a common day, you know. Same science fiction, me too. Although I do dabble occasionally in science fiction. It's the problem in science fiction, just stuff all over the place. So, if you play something like BattleTech's pretty reasonable. When you start thinking about it, though, like all these things can fire a lot shorter ranges than things do now. So you're like, it just seems kind of weird. But what I never understood about fantasy is they've got that, what is that flintlock or slaughter who or whatever the hell it is, where you've got orcs or Prussians and elves or French, and they're all dressed like a Napoleonic stuff. And I mean, that just seems dorky. Like, pick one or the other. Maybe that appeals to somebody, but I saw that and I'm like, oh no, no, not for me. Yeah, I prefer fantasy as long as the magic is to a minimum. Yes, anamorphic Napoleonics. Yeah, it just seems weird. Like, why didn't they pick Civil War? Why didn't they pick, it just, like those episodes of Star Trek, right, where they go to some planet that's everybody's a mobster, like from the 30s. Like, why? I mean, you had an extra wardrobe. Like, we could do something with these mobster outfits. Oh, it would be cool if like to go to a planet and everybody's like a mobster. Oh yeah, man, that'd be pretty cool. Like, who gets that idea? Or weren't they another one? And they were all like in Nazi garb or whatever, space Nazis. Come on, man. The squad of hair dragons. Yeah. Eureka Miniatures in 28 millimeter actually makes anamorphic figures, and I think they're pretty cool. But they're not dressed in Napoleonic garb. They're just like they're frogs with with spears and shit like that. They're still using primitive weapons. I don't know if the rules would be worth a damn, but they look pretty cool. And they have them painted on there, and they did a really good job with them, too. Flintlock is what I'd call British whimsical. I'd class badgers and burrows in that, and things with gnomes and fairies riding snails. There was a game of that at Historicon where they had these gnomes and they had a rebel flag, you know, like a Confederacy flag with Kermit the Frog in the center of the is it stars and bars? You know, the Confederate flag. And it had a Kermit the Frog in the middle of it. And I'm like, burrows and badgers. Who is it that likes burrows and badgers? Is that Nordic? Scott hates that plays with us. I've never played a game that's, you know, that's creatures. Like, I don't know that I'd have that much of a problem with it. As long as it's a creature that I could make it sound to have fun, you know. That's why I'd want to play it. Make silly sounds, you know. British whimsical. What's French whimsical? It's all frogs. It's nothing but frogs. Oh. Sometimes you see some of that stuff set up, and you're like, man, this looks like not pretty stupid, but man, it'd be fun to play with the right people, you know? And that could very well be one of those things. Badgers and burrows. I'm going to read about that. Not that I'm getting into that, but you have like, I think I've seen like teddy bears and like probably hairy women standing on cheese. Yeah. I can handle the cheese. Hairy women. Hairy armpits. No. Absolutely not. That's a design flaw. Sorry. Women should not have hairy armpits. No. Badgers and burrows. Badgers and burrows. I love looking at stuff on the internet and be like, oh, I wonder what this is all about. Probably better than hairy women sitting on cheese. Ooh. Hairy pits, no. Absolutely not. So we'll see. We'll see in the next couple of years if I start painting some 19th century stuff. I hope the game's a lot of fun because I wouldn't mind painting some zouaves and things I can do silly French accents with. Of course, that's the whole point of it when you get right down to it. Frenchmen being killed by Mexicans, you know, all that good stuff. All the food groups. What are you doing, Rick? You grinding? Meaning playing Skyrim. I have such a hard time getting. I love video games, but I also get bored of them really fast, no matter how awesome they are. And I don't know if that has to do with the fact that you don't interact with real people while you're playing it, so there's not that social thing. But I mean, I've played some video games that I think are pretty freaking cool, and I just don't play them anymore because I've felt like I've done everything I can do with them. You know, one of my favorite games is a zombie game that's Rick can't play it because it's an Xbox only game. Actually, I think it's available for the computer, and it's really a brilliant game because it's first person ish, and you can also it's base building at the same time, and it's not there's not too much going on at once. It's not like work where it's like you're constantly like just give me a second to breathe. It's a game called State of Decay, and it's really pretty amazing. It's the Stormcloaks versus Imperial Skyrim Civil War right now. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I like those treasure hunt type games, but when it's a while before you find things, it's like I kind of lose interest. But those type of games are well, I don't know if Skyrim is this way. I suspect it is. But, the treasure hunts. You got to keep finding stuff. Like, let me go on this mission to find something else better. But if the finds are too few and far between, I just lose interest. Yeah, it needs to be challenging, but it doesn't need to be that challenging. At least for me. Let me check my phone, make sure I've not missed a phone call. No. And think about State of Decay. It's interesting. I've never encountered anybody else that's ever played it. Nobody like I mention it like, oh yeah, I used to play that way back in the day. Nobody's ever played it, or they won't admit to it. I think it's cool. It's a zombie game, so it's got elements of finding stuff in a house. You go and you search a house, and you might find a revolver, an ammo for something that's not the revolver, or a pipe, food that you need to bring back to the house because you're in a day. Basically, I think 1 second in the game is like a minute. So in half an hour, a whole day will go by. So the time advances, but it's not insane like paced. If it was insane paced, I'd be like, I'm out. I don't need this kind of stress in my life. Let's get some chocolate brown out here. No, that's leather brown. Well, leather brown probably work. They're kissing cousins anyways. Chocolate brown. Oh, so there's very few games that are like that. That are like They make extra expansions for them or whatever. I'll buy them. I'll buy every single one of them. They're that good. But eventually I'll, get tired of whatever the hell it is. But it doesn't take the place of face-to-face gaming. They're two different animals. They're completely two different animals. So we'll need to wait for this guy to dry, and then we can do another spray and then base and get another stand done. This Vallejo stuff is definitely drying faster than the Liquitex. Definitely. I'm gonna say about half the time. So that's pleasant. That's nice to be able to do the basing and then paint the basing sooner rather than later. I just hope they keep making it, not like, well, we can't make this anymore because it's not a sustainable material, which is what happened with the Liquitex. Well, that was the answer we were given for the Liquitex. Not a sustainable material, like it's being harvested by, kids' brains or something like that. And, you can't bash any more kids' brains in, so there's that. I don't know why they figured it wasn't sustainable, but okay. And you go check up on something, and I'll be right back. Morning. Morning for you, Kevin. What is it, just after 10 where you're at? You're on Mountain, right? Didn't Arizona do something recently where they observed like a half 30-minute intervals, or they didn't do daylight savings or something? I want to say they want to do something different in Arizona. I just don't understand the time zones, why they don't break them up on state lines. End of story. I don't care what kind of shape your state is. It's just real easy. It's real easy to tell what state you're in, and that's where the time should change. Even Oklahoma, that has that tip that goes all the way out there. Nobody lives there. What difference does it make? Just freaking break it up on state lines. Shouldn't be a problem for the squarish states. Okay. What we got left on this dude? Hooves? Ooh, the tail, the mane turned out nice. I like when you walk away from something and you're like, oh, that's nicer than I remembered it. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Nope, that's not stoner brown or stoner gray or whatever. Stoner stone. There we go. Mountain time. Don't do daylight savings. Well, they said they were going to stop doing that. They were going to do daylight savings all of the time, I think. I don't know if it was in the US or it was just Florida. But then in typical government fashion, oh, well, we're going to leave it until like 2 years for it to take effect. Like, great. Can't wait to wait on something else, you know? Yeah, my preference is to do daylight savings only because I like the dark, I like some light after work. But honestly, they can pick either one and just keep it. Just stop doing that switch. The silly ass switch. All right, we're going to leave this guy alone. We're going to call him done. Next. All right, so what do you say we're going to put that guy together with? Say this dark one, all right? So it looks like this is another light colored one as well. Yeah, but I was mentioning earlier, when I'm interested in painting a new period, Osprey's not the first place I go to anymore. A lot of the stuff just seems to be out of touch. They don't do a whole lot on color plates. And I'm a big fan of Google image searches. Not that everything you find there is accurate, but at least it's something to think about. I don't know if I've ever seen any steppe horses in gray. No, let's not do one then. Let's do a yellowish one, or maybe something like this. Again, I looked at horse guides, and after a while, you're like, yeah, whatever, just freaking wing it. We'll go with Monster Brown. 5 viewers, welcome, folks. Thanks for stopping by. I really want to paint the elephant for these guys. And it's not going to be metal armor. I'm going to make it scale. Yeah, can't wait to paint him up. He's going to be cool. I like that it's a one-piece casting. But then somebody was saying that museum was going to do away with all these older, that you can't even order these elephants anymore. That's a shame. It's a good-looking elephant. It's a good-looking elephant. I believe this is supposed to be like a timrid elephant. But I already have a timrid elephant, so. We're going to do something with him. Almost brunch time. Got to go shower and get dressed. Talk to you later. Okay. Enjoy your brunch. I'm all in favor of brunch as long as you get to have breakfast and lunch as well as a brunch. Hey, what can I say? I like to eat. You have to say about eating. It's yummy. I don't like breakfast food at a brunch. It's too late to be eating it. You can't see them on museum site now, but there's one or two timbered ones at the Keep. Yeah, I think you told me about it. I went on the Keep. I've had really good service from them. I haven't ordered from them in a while. I believe I got all of my DBM books from them. I'm not really sure how they get their miniatures because, I mean, it's been freaking 10 years or whatever since I've ordered miniatures from them. But it almost seemed like they were trying to sell. I better get rid of the elephant here. I'm going to start working on them next. It seemed like they were selling like what they have left over, but I went on there the other day, I think through somebody's suggestion, it might have been yours, and they had things I'd never seen there before. I'd never seen them have museum stuff before. And it's really hard to find out. You can't find any information on the damn white Huns for their elephants. So F it. I'm giving them a elephant with scale armor on it. You know, I'm not going to do metal because that's going to weigh a metric ton, literally. And honestly, it looks kind of like scale anyways. You know, leatherish. It's going to be mostly brown. So I want him to look different than all the other elephants that I have. So, and I do have a timbered elephant from Elaine Tulare. And it's a beautiful casting. There used to be a couple of those painted by somebody online, and they did a fabulous job on it. Fabulous. Don't know who they are, but whoever they were, they did a great job on them. If you place an order, it might be worth ordering a copy of Fire and Steel at the same time. It's £4, but they might be an alternative if the other Victorian era skirmish don't pan out. So that one's called Fire and Steel. Holy, a lot of steel. I'm going to look up a couple of Fire and Steel. Yeah, I'm getting really confused in 15 millimeter on who makes what. Like, I'm surprised that Old Glory doesn't make Crimean War figures. They don't. And I get confused. Okay, that's Eureka that makes them. So I may almost have to like look who makes what and what scale. But Old Glory makes Franco-Prussian and Mexican-American War and ACW and what else do they make? All the colonial stuff, which I'm not opposed to getting colonial British stuff. I just don't want them to just fight Afghanis or the Sudanese. It's been done too many times. I don't mind with them. Like, I don't mind them fighting Afghanis with Russians there as well. I actually had no idea that it was that tense of a relationship between Britain and Russia. I just thought that would be a good scenario. I had no idea that it was closer than expected, or that they were mortal enemies for semi-mortal enemies through most of the 19th century. I had no idea. I thought the closest they came to war was, remember when the Russian fleet went out to the Russo-Japanese War and they encountered those fishing boats, and they thought it was the Japanese sneak attack, and blew them away, and they almost came to blows over that. I didn't think that there was any tension with them other than that. So I'm pleased to find out that there was, because I think that that's an interesting scenario. But just an opportunity to paint different things, you know? And since it is a skirmish game, I don't want to go with something like minifigs that a bunch of guys are the same. I don't necessarily have a problem with minifigs. They're just, everybody's going to be in the same pose. You know, I want a little bit more character than that. And same way with QRF. QRF through their whatever the name of their line is, but they used to be owned by somebody else. They do all those Maximilian Adventure and stuff like that, but they're all like one pose, you know. Fire and Steel. I guess that's just the thing. If you're doing 1900, it's steel. I can't think of right now who the other company is. No, Freecore. Freecore, that's who it is. When the Russians hit their own ships, they carried on down to a little Pacific island and got stuck for weeks before torpedoing their own ship during target practice. Yeah, I guess they've been incompetent for a long ass time. But some of their troops actually look pretty cool. I had no idea they had those Pickelhaube type of helmets on some of their infantry in the Crimean War. That's pretty cool, you know. I mean, I know that those conscripts were probably really ineffective, but I'm just a painter, you know. I'm just a painter. So I'm signed up at our war game show to play a Franco-Prussian War scenario. Actually, I signed up Mitch too. I don't care what side we play as long as it's the same one. We always have to fight each other. I don't give a shit. I'll play Prussians. I'll play French. But it's a 28 millimeter base game. But It's one of those things. It's a 28mm base game, but things only shoot a couple feet away, so they're really out of scale. So if you go to 15s, they're more in scale. You know, plus I like painting 15s. Okay, this is the guy with the poofy pants. You poofy pant joker. Okay, he's got some kind of a tunic on. And of course he's got the whole wolfskin type thing on him. All right, let's start off. We're going to paint the horse first. And we're going to use that color for the horse. So let's get up on it. I just assumed that the Russians were allies of the Brits until the Bolsheviks. What do I know? It's good to learn new things. But hey, that'd be an opportunity for me to paint some kilts, right? And then I can make bagpipe sounds too. Come on, man. What's not to like about that? Maybe not a good idea at all. Not think about it. The Eureka figures are expensive. I'm just wondering if the game has any artillery. I hope it does. I mean, yeah, it's toy soldiery. It's not, a realistic simulation by any means. I don't need that. I just want to have fun. And Sword of the Flame isn't bad. If it sucks, you can always do Sword in the Flame in 15s. I've played it a couple times. It's kind of dated, but it's a pretty cool game. The author of the rules I want to say he used to live in Louisiana or Mississippi or something like that. And he used to come to the shows when it was in Tampa several times. So he'd always run his big game. And that interesting mechanics of you roll a certain number of D6s, and that's how far you could move your units, and the random turn activation. There's lots of things about that to like. So I don't know. Worst case scenario, I'll get some and just paint them and never do anything with them. I think it'd be fun to paint, a few of the figures, even if it's only 10 or 12. I want to make sure that whatever it is, it's individual basing, so that it's not like, well, I don't know what frontage I'm going to do, and then you cogitate about that and don't get anything done. Larry Braum. Okay, it was Louisiana, not Mississippi. Yeah, I met him. He's a nice guy. Nice guy. And I think his outfit is, I think his company's still running, and his daughter or something like that took it over. But I played it a few times. It's one of those things that I didn't grow up watching those colonial movies. So the cool thing is I get to watch colonial movies. Yeah, I've seen a few. I saw the first Zulu and The Man Who Would Be King and Khartoum and what else? Gunga Din. Well, maybe I have seen a few of them. I've only seen them once though, each once. And then I watched the Peking thing the other day. I just thought that period was just kind of very boring because it was almost like, either American Civil War or pesky natives versus the Brits. And I think there's more to it if you do some historical fiction that's, plausible. It doesn't have to be make-believe, Lloyd Braum's running it now. I think the company's called Sargent's 3. Yep. Yep. One of the guys at the show now always runs a Sword in Africa game, and that's always fun for the random events. It's light wargaming, but it's the random activation that makes that game really shine. You never know who's going to go next, and yeah, it's not a realistic simulation, but lots of interesting things happen in it that are fun to laugh about. And I think that might be, but the individual basing is what I want to do. Individual 15mm figures, base them on pennies, boom, done. Right? You should be able to fill the stand up pretty well. You get to put little tufts on there and stuff. I just don't want to go hog wild and buy a bunch of shit, There's a vendor that's on eBay that sells. I'm not. I think I know who it is. I'm not sure that I'm correct, but I think I know who it is. But his shipping's kind of a little out of line. But he does sell packs of Franco-Prussian stuff, and it's like instead of buying $21 worth, you can get away with $9. And if you just need a couple squads of something. The problem is I don't know how old those figures are, and it could be an old alloy that's very bendy. So that's always an option. But like I said, worst case scenario, paint some of them up, do nothing with them. At least I had fun painting them. They still look good. Maybe it'll appeal to somebody else who's not really looking at this channel because they're not into DBA. I don't blame them. DBA is kind of weird. It is. I get it. Ogilor even makes Austrians and Italians, and they actually look pretty good. And the Italians had those battleships that were built in the late 1880s. that could carry 10,000 troops. So right there is a scenario. They go when they land somewhere, and it just happens to be that that's a place where other people also want to land. Who the hell's painting Italians from the 1880s? Nobody. Yeah, you could use guys from 18, their unification war, and just figure, maybe nothing's changed in 10 years. I'm not so worried about, mixing stuff of a period it's close. Nobody's going to know. Well, somebody will come in, hey, those are the guys that didn't aware that stuff. Yeah, whatever. Paint your own dudes. I just think it'd be a cool setting for not quite something like Imaginations, but a what could have been. What did I do? Already get rid of it? All right, let's get some white. Yeah, I remember we were playing one of those Sword in Africa games one time, and there's a guy who was an ammo porter, and something on him caught fire. It was like a random event, and it freaking blew up like a huge grenade, and of course that sent everything into, all kinds of problems. Lions attack and shit like that. Hey, I did get a tiger. I got one of those irregular miniatures tiger. Base him individually. Tiger attack. Obviously not in Africa. Make sure I still don't have a... What's this? What's this all about? Nope. All right. Poofy pants. God, I don't feel like they ought to be a really light color. Freaking Zoob pants or something. Genie pants. Okay, Mother Nature calleth. I'll be right back. Okay. All right, it's time to do this wolf skin thing. Let's go ahead and do that. That's a pretty big chunk of the coloration of this person. So we're gonna go with gray. Let's grab a kind of a mid-gray. Six viewers, how many of them are Chinese informants? What you say? That's what I thought. Let me make sure they didn't call while I was in there. Wake up. Nope. There it is. Oh. Hold on 1 second, folks. Okay, folks. Well, that's going to be a wrap. I got to go pick up the car, and that was them on it, and apparently it was nothing. So strange they're not trying to sell you something. Actually, they wanted to replace all 4 of my tires, and I don't even have 15,000 miles on it, so that does not compute. But anyhow, thanks for stopping by, even though it was interrupted, and we'll catch you guys next time. And happy painting. Sorry, folks, we don't have any more.